Hey guys, so today we want to talk about what house hacking is and how you can get into it, especially for your first house hack. So, when looking at house hack, the first thing you want to do is start saving for your down payment. Now, a lot of people will say that's a really challenging thing. How am I going to come up with all of this down payment? You hear about 20% down payments. Today, we want to talk about the facts and how you can get into your home for a low down payment and start house hacking. So, to get your down payment, the first thing I would recommend is to cut your expenses. So, the first thing you can think of, if you're currently living in an expensive market, in an expensive rental unit, you might want to consider leaving that rental unit and maybe moving back in with your parents. All right, and so I bring up the moving home with your parents for two reasons. One, because I did it and it worked for me. Two is probably because it's the easiest thing you can do to automatically increase your savings. So think about it like this. If you're currently renting an apartment, you're probably paying somewhere $1,000, $1,500, $2,000, maybe even $3,000 a month. If you leave that apartment and move back to your parents' house, automatically without changing anything else in your life, you just increased your savings by a ton. And now you might be sitting there saying, Nick, you're absolutely crazy. There's zero chance I'm moving back in with my parents. I left there years ago and I'm not going back. And that's okay. You don't have to. I recommend it because I did it. I know it works and I think it's probably the easiest thing you can do, but there are other options. So if you don't want to do that and you still need to increase your savings, another option you can do is to get a side hustle. And so the point of this video isn't to talk about side hustles, but I want to give a couple quick examples of ways that you can do it if you want to. First being, you can start delivering food with DoorDash, you can do Uber Eats. There's a million ways that you can very easily increase your earnings and turning that into savings. And so another easy thing you can do is go get a part-time job, right? So if you're looking to earn extra money, you're not making quite as much from your full-time job, maybe you go and get a part-time job. And there, right away, you increased your earnings again. The other common thing that a lot of people are doing is you can flip old goods. So using Craigslist, eBay, find old goods, restore them, and flip them, and then you can increase your earnings that way without even needing to get a second job. And so now that we talked about everyone's favorite piece, which is trying to save money, we want to talk about how you can apply that, right? So the goal of this is to get you into that house hack. So now I want to explain first what a house hack looks like. So the idea of house hacking is to get either a single family home that you purchase as an owner-occupied property and then you rent out the individual rooms in it. And the idea is to completely offset the mortgage cost or as much of it as you can. The second option for a house hack would be to purchase a multi-family home. So any 2-unit, 3-unit, or 4-unit home, and you occupy one of the units, and then you rent out the second, third, or fourth unit. And again, the idea is to completely eliminate your housing expense or at least offset it as much as you can. All right, and so now that we covered what the house hack is, and hopefully you're all pumped up and ready to go get one, let's talk about how you can finance it. What I think the best part of doing a house hack is the opportunity to use a low down payment program. So when you're buying either a single family or a multifamily, you can leverage low down payment programs as long as you're willing to live in the unit for at least a year. So if you're buying a single family and you're looking to rent out the rooms, if you're going to live in the property and you're a first-time buyer, you can use a conventional loan and get as low as a 3% down payment. So you can buy this what will be investment property for 3% down payment. Now, if you're going to go the multifamily route, so you're going to get a 2, 3, or 4 unit, you'll have a couple options. You can use either a FHA mortgage, which the minimum down payment on that is 3.5%. So you can get the multifamily for 3.5%. Or there may be a conventional option where you can do as little as 5% down. So whether you're getting a single family or a multifamily, if you're willing to live in it and rent out those additional rooms or those additional units, you can get into the property for as little as 3 to 3.5% for a down payment. All right, so now we've talked about what the house hack is, how you can get into it. Let me talk about a real example so you can see the actual power of leveraging low down payments and house hacking. So let's use example one. You're going to purchase a multifamily house hack that you're going to be owner occupying. So let's say you're going to purchase this property for $500,000 and the minimum down payment is going to be 3.5%. So the 3.5% down payment comes out to $17,500, and let's assume your closing costs are another $7,000 or $8,000. So you might be all in with this purchase between around $25,000, call it. So that's using a 3.5% down payment. Now, right there, you're able to acquire your first investment property. You are going to live in it for a year, but then it's going to become an investment property, and you got that for around $25,000. Now, let's use option two, where if you're not willing to own or occupy it and you're not going to house hack, what that looks like. So let's use that same $500,000 purchase, and let's assume you have to put 25% down, because if it's a multifamily home and it's an investment property, chances are the minimum you're going to be able to put down is a 25% down payment. Now, the 25% of the $500,000 purchase, that's $125,000, and let's assume the same $6,000 to $8,000 in closing costs. You're almost at $130,000, $135,000. So the same property, using two different strategies, you're looking at about $100,000 difference in the cost to acquire the property. So focusing on the house hack side, let's bring this thing full circle. So because you're owner occupying it, you're only needing to put 3.5%. So we're looking at $20,000 to $25,000. Now, when you were trying to get into the property, let's say you took my advice and you moved back home, or you got your side hustle or second job. How much easier is it to come up and save $25,000 to get a $500,000 asset versus how long would it take you to save that $130,000 or $135,000? I'm assuming the $135,000 is going to take you a lot longer to acquire that property. So by now you can probably tell I'm a huge fan of house hacking, and I want to leave you with 3 reasons why. The first being the building equity component to house hacking. So when you own the property, you're going to be every month paying down the principal of that mortgage. And so what that's doing is that's building equity within the home. And the best part is that mortgage is going to be being paid down by your tenants. The second component to the equity is the natural appreciation that'll happen. So every year, each part of the country appreciates differently, but for this example, we'll say 5% appreciation. So every year, you can expect that your home value should increase by 3 to 5%, again, depending on where you're located and the cycle of the market we're in. But that's a natural occurrence that only happens just because you're owning the property. And so we use that 3 to 5% for the average across the country, but what we do know is every market's different, right? So for example, if you're in Austin, Texas, your appreciation is going to be completely different. You have things like Tesla moving in, it's becoming a tech hub there, people are leaving California like crazy, and Austin is appreciating at a wild clip. So that's going to be completely different than maybe a different part of the country. But again, let's use that 5%, and let's go back to that example we were using on your house hack purchase. So again, if you purchase that house hack at $500,000 and you put down the 3.5%, we're still sticking with that example. If we use the national average and that home appreciates 5%, you're going to directly be adding $25,000 to your net worth. And the second benefit is the fact that you're going to be able to live for free. So when we first started this example, to get this first house hack, you were moving home with your parents, or you were needing to get a second job, a side hustle. You had to do crazy things just to save for that down payment. Now you acquired this house hack, and now you're sitting there living for free. So you're owning a cash flowing asset, you're living for free, and the biggest thing that's doing is allowing you to save for that next investment property. And now the third benefit is that with just one property, you've already created an amazing retirement account. So when you have this asset, there are a few things that are going to happen. One is, over time, your tenants are just going to pay down your mortgage. So over that 30-year period, your mortgage is going to be paid off, and that's going to completely increase your cash flow. And while that's happening, that home is also going to be appreciating. So again, let's go back to that example. You bought the $500,000 house, and we're assuming in your market you're experiencing 5% appreciation year over year over year over year. So by the time that 30 years passes, your home is going to have appreciated by so much, and that now it's going to be a paid off asset, and you're going to be able to leverage it. And so what I mean by that is, now that you've built all that equity into the property, you can now leverage that equity and use that money to purchase more cash flowing properties. Alright guys, well, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you found any of this valuable or helpful, please feel free to subscribe, like, and share this video. If there's anyone you know that you think could benefit from it, feel free to share it with them. And as always, if you have any questions on personal finance, mortgages, house hacking, investing, feel free to reach out. I'm always happy to help.